Hello friends, welcome to today's video. This is Benjamin here, and today we want to talk about how to write a formal letter. Letter writing is still an effective medium of communication, and there is need to learn how to write a formal letter, because with it you can communicate your ideas to important offices where you may require some help or make requests or send complaints and so on and so forth. So it is very important. In addition to that, if you are going to sit for an external English exam, of course you will be required to write a letter. So we want to look at the process, the steps to take in order to write a good formal letter. Let's look at the especially 4 major aspects of this topic that we are going to look at. I want to take you to the screen and then we look at it together. So here we are. And let's make our page quite conspicuous. Here we are. Now, the first thing we will look at is what is a formal letter. Then we will look at examples of formal letters, features of a formal letter, and format of a formal letter. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel. And if you would like to be receiving notifications whenever I upload a new video, click on the bell icon so that whenever a new video is uploaded on this channel, you will be notified instantly. Now let's go ahead and look at the details. What actually is a formal letter? A formal letter is a letter you write to someone who occupies an official position. So a personal, an informal letter is described as a personal letter. So it is correct to say that a formal letter is an impersonal letter in the sense that you are not writing to a person, you are writing to an office. So another name for a formal letter is an official letter or a business letter. If you write a letter to the governor of a state, for example, you are not writing to the person of the governor, you are writing to the office of the governor. So even if that particular governor on seat at the time you wrote the letter eventually is out of office, then a new person who replaces him in that office, can still treat that letter. The letter is still to him. Whoever occupies that office is the person the letter is sent to. If you address a letter to a sales manager, the sales manager of a company, and that same day that sales manager is fired, a new sales manager is employed, that new sales manager will attend to that letter as well. So a formal letter is a letter you write to someone who occupies an official position, and whoever occupies that office will attend to the letter. Now, let's look at examples of formal letters. Number 1, letters you write to government departments, such as letters you write to ministers, commissioners, governors, presidents, senators, and so on. Now, number 2, letters to business firms or public corporations, such as letters you write to branch managers, directors, general managers, district managers, group managing directors, sales managers, and so on and so forth. Number 3, letters to academic institutions, such as letters you write to the registrar, vice chancellor, principal of a secondary school, or headmaster of a primary school. Heads of institutions could be the rector or the provost of a tertiary institution. Then let's look at more examples of formal letters. Number 4, letters to media houses, such as the letters you address to the editor of a national newspaper or magazine or even an international magazine, or a letter you write to the director of radio in a particular radio station, or the general manager of a television house, and so on and so forth. Number 5, letters to international organizations, such as a letter you address to the Secretary General of the United Nations, or the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, or the head of UNESCO, the head of ECOWAS, and so on and so forth. Now let's look at the features of a formal letter. Features are parts of the letter. And the first part is the writer's address, followed by the date. Now, the writer's address always appears at the top right-hand side of your writing sheet. The second item is the receiver's designation and full address. If you are writing a letter to the Minister of Works, for example, then of course you have to address it to the Minister of Works, then the address, you know. The third one is salutation, which is usually dear sir or dear madam. The fourth feature is the title or the heading. Of course, that's the topic or the subject of discussion, what the letter is all about. Number 5 is the content of the letter, which is made up of 3 subparts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. The 6th one is the subscription or the closing greeting, you know. The salutation is the opening greeting, subscription is the closing greeting, and the usual way of putting the subscription is yours faithfully. Then the feature number 7 is the writer's signature. After yours faithfully and you put a comma, then you will then sign the signature. Number 8 is the writer's full name, which will begin with the surname and then followed by the first name. Number 9 is the writer's official designation, but this is for a letter you are writing for a group or a corporate letter. For example, if you are in a secondary school and you are asked to write a letter in your capacity as the president of the debating and literary and debating society, of course you have to write your designation, your official designation as the president of that club. So that's exactly, these are the features. And finally, let's look at the format. Of course, you can see the format here, the address on the top right-hand side, followed by the date. You can see it here. This is the position where your address should appear, you know, and then the date should come after the address. And you need to make sure the address is done properly. For normally for an official letter is always right. The right thing is to use the block style. You know, you have different styles of writing your address, but the block style, the block style is of 2 types. You have the open and the closed block style. When it is closed, you punctuate it. And if you want to show that at least you understand the use of punctuation marks, then you punctuate your address and every other thing. That shows that you know your onions. So, and once you have done that, let's get back to this. Then the date should also be written in the proper manner. For instance, if you are writing today's date, you write October 28th, then you put a comma and write 2020, you know, full stop. Now, having done that, then the you can see how the receiver's address, the receiver's designation and address should appear on the left-hand side, just as you see it on this screen. The Minister of Works, then you write the address, the street where the office is located, or the place where the office is located, or if they have a private mail bag, you can write PMB, or if it is a post office mail bag, you can write PO box this and that, and you write the particular place where the office is located. Having done that, the next thing will be the salutation, which is dear sir, and it should always be on the same line, the same margin. A lot of people try to leave a space before writing dear sir, but this is not proper. Your dear sir should be on the same margin. After the salutation, then you have the heading. You see, the heading should come after dear sir, and then there are two ways of putting your heading or title. You can use the total capitalization method, where you write everything in capital letters, and you don't need to underline when you do that. If you choose to use the mixture of capital and small letters, then you have to underline. Let's assume that you are writing the poor states, the poor condition or the deplorable condition of roads in the country. If you write everything in capital letters, you don't need to underline. Now, once you have written the heading, the next thing is the introduction, which is paragraph 1, and it is necessary for you to indent your paragraphs. To indent means to leave a space. And if you look at the salutation, dear sir, when you are beginning your paragraph, it's ideal to place it between dear and sir, and on this same line where your first paragraph should begin, but it should align, it should take the proper position here, so that there will be enough space covering dear and then the middle of dear and sir, and you place it there. And all other paragraphs will begin at that particular place, so that your work will look well organized. Don't forget that if you are sitting for an examination, those who will mark your script will mark according to certain marking scheme or parameters for assessing your essay. And one of these parameters is the organization, how well organized your work looks. So proper paragraphing should be done by indenting it properly. Now, your first paragraph should neatly introduce the letter. And since this is a formal letter, you don't need to make any inquiries about the receiver's well-being. You don't need to send any greetings. Just go straight to the purpose of the letter. And this is why a formal letter is called a business letter, because it is business-like in its delivery, in its writing. You go straight to the business. Now, you can start the first paragraph with "I write to," then you introduce exactly the purpose of your writing. And once you are done with the introduction, then you go to the body of the letter, which begins in the second paragraph. At least the body of your letter should contain not less than 3 paragraphs. If you are writing for an examining body such as West African School Certificate Examination or the NECO Senior School Certificate Examination, of course, you are required to discuss at least 3 main points. And the principle of paragraphing presupposes that each paragraph should discuss one main idea, and that gives you at least 3 paragraphs within the body of the letter. So if you are writing 3 paragraphs within the body of the letter, it means you will end up writing a 5-paragraph letter. And so your conclusion will be in paragraph 5. So you can see it here. And that is where you summarize your discussion and possibly call for action or make recommendations. And once you have done this, then the next thing will be your subscription. And in writing your subscription or closing greeting, you make sure that it aligns with your address here. You know, coming down, you put it directly here on the same line, so it will look well organized. And here you write yours faithfully, and you follow that with a comma, after which you sign your signature on the next line. Having signed your signature, the next thing will be to write your full name, beginning with your surname, followed by your first name, and you put a full stop. That's the end of your formal letter. So I hope you have learned how to write a formal letter from the step-by-step explanation given in this video. I would want you to practice and practice and practice, because the best way to learn how to write a formal letter is to start writing it, and then you correct yourself by looking up other samples and putting in practice the things you have learned from this video. Thank you for watching today's video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video when we discuss other topics. Once again, if you are interested in topics like this, subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be instantly notified. See you in the next video, and bye for now. Remain blessed.